People are looking for authentic, authoritative, trustworthy material. You can add some funny to personalize things, but you don't have to dance on TikTok to be relevant to your clients on social media.
I'm Jody Skipper. I'm here with my co-host, Jennifer Sarver. And today we are talking about social media, right? How to do it well. We're really here to help equip you and give you just a grasp, a better up-to-date understanding and feeling like you know what is happening in social media right now and what your business needs to do to harness it well. It's constantly changing, but there's a lot of life happening on social media. So how can you capitalize on it as a business owner? So I want to start, Jennifer, with kind of a funny question, but I think it addresses a misconception out there, or just this expectation that people, the clients, business owners, I mean, in all industries expect. Do you have to dance on TikTok, on social media to get more clients? Tell us.
Well, you know, it's not about gimmicks. We all know like marketing gimmicks don't generally land well, especially when you're a service professional. It can be if that's your shtick and your vibe as an individual, and they get that in terms of who you are as a tax professional, that you kind of have that fun side of you. Sure, but it's not a requirement. You don't have to dance on TikTok. What people are looking for is authentic, authoritative, trustworthy material. So when you're speaking into things, you can add some fun and some funny to personalize things and to let people see who you are, but you don't have to dance on TikTok to be relevant to your clients on social media.
And everyone breathes a big sigh of relief. Woo, you don't have to do it. No dancing required. We do not offer dance classes anyway, so you're on your own for that.
However, I will say I had to, when I was a teacher, do this, create a TikTok dance for my students.
Dance, you did?
Yes, and they loved it. So my audience was appropriate for that. So it made sense.
I could see, right? Yeah, young people. That's how you
And
can reach them.
that's the most important point. Always consider your audience. Who are you trying to reach?
Yeah. You can make it about yourself. Work within your limitations. And I think be realistic. There are lots of ways to reach people on social media without dancing on TikTok. So let's
Yeah.
make that clear. All right. So let's move on to our next question.
Yeah, Jody, what's the current state of social media right now?
It's a big question. It's, I think, important to address at the beginning. Like, social media has changed so much since its institution way back. I don't even know when, I mean, back in like MySpace days. It's been a long time, and it has been changed. Like everything in marketing, it is constantly changing, 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 changing. And so, of course, marketing strategies are constantly, you're having to adapt. But it is safe to say, regardless of its diminished impact, I would say, for business pages, which we'll talk about in a little bit, it's still important. One of the ways I like to think about it is importance. It's a way for outsiders to get a glimpse of who you are as a business owner, what your company is about, what you guys do, what you talk about. Think about if you're trying to find a new service provider in your area. Maybe you're looking for, I don't know, maybe you're looking for an electrician. You've got a funky light switch that isn't working all the time. You need someone to come and look at it. All right. So, first place you're probably going to go is Google. All right. You're going to go to Google Maps. Who's in my area? Who's around? You're going to click on them. You're going to look at their Google reviews, which is one thing why we're always talking to you about getting Google reviews. But another thing you might do, their website will be linked there. You go to the website. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. What else? What are these people like? Go to their about page. Maybe there's not a lot there. So the next logical step is you're going to go to their Facebook, their Instagram, whatever is linked there. So you're going to their Facebook page. Are they active on there? What people are doing is they're trying to get an idea about who you are. Is this someone I can trust? That's ultimately the question that they're asking. Social media is a portal for you to demonstrate that, yes, I am. We are real people. We are a legitimate business. You can come to us, hire us. And while you're creating a presence there, you're establishing that. But really, social media is engagement driven. Like if you want to get seen on social media on any platform, you have to get people engaging with your content there. regardless of platform. We all hear about what's happening on social media. These influencers that are out there, they're making careers of being an influencer on social media. And while it might appear from the outside that all they do is dance on TikTok and they're making like $100,000 a year or more, there's actually a lot more to it than that. They're doing more than you think. It's an art and a science, but there's quite a bit that has to go right that you have to do to make that work. So you can make a career there. You can lose a career there as well. We all know the cancel culture is that chiefly happens on social media where there's people, what do I want to say? You can get, canceled per se, like we've heard, but if there's a problem with some of your services, people are going to go there to talk about it. So it's important to be active so you know what's being said. It's important to be part of the conversation. And for businesses, it is that conversation avenue. I like to think about social media as like it's like a phone line. The way that you would take people, they would call your office, you would talk to them on the phone. The same thing is happening on social media. It is both ways. They will reach out to you to ask about your availability, or they'll reach out to just ask a question. Maybe they see a post and they have a question about it. There's a lot of conversation there, a lot of potential for business owners. And like I already mentioned, you're really using it as a way to instill confidence for the outsiders looking in. So lots of potential still, even though it is not what it used to be for business owners. It's important. You need to be there. There is potential, but you need to recognize the limitations of what you can do, but also do as much as you can.
Yeah. And I think too, one thing I'll add to that, the cancel culture world, it has made many people want to pull back on personality and kind of
Mm-hmm.
make yourself as palatable to as many people as possible. But sometimes that actually
Mm-hmm.
can work against you. We have
Yeah.
some clients actually that really know their audience and aren't afraid to state where they're at on things, what they think. Now, everybody has a different approach to that, but it just means know who your audience is, know the clients you serve and the demographic you're serving. That helps know like what kinds of personalization you put out there should serve that audience and should reveal who you are, but not in a way that alienates them, but in a way that like targets and relates to them. That relational aspect I think is really important.
That's good. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Good point.
Yeah, so Jody, since we kind of know where social media is at right now, what can businesses reasonably expect from social media marketing today?
So I think businesses can expect slow growth from social media. That's the short answer of what I think is realistic. And I think it's important to be realistic about what social media can accomplish for you. It's an important piece of your marketing. It is not the only marketing. Back in the early days when they created like business pages on Facebook, businesses saw a ton of growth, expansion, lead acquisition, those kind of things, because there was not a lot of competition in the news feed of what was happening. You created this page for your business and it would show up, like people would see your content, like miraculous. Right. These days, it's really hard to get to people to see your content, even if you're just friends on the feed. There's so much that goes into each platform's algorithm that you have to be wise in how you're engaging there. So realistically, if you are not running ads, if you are not devoting someone in your office or even a whole team of people to making that platform work for you and use it for lead acquisition, slow growth is your best target and your best expectation to have. It is not going to be fast unless you're running ads to get someone to your page. It is what it is. That is just realistic. Within that slow growth, the way that happens is that you're getting engagement with your clients and prospects. That's going to be really the key to slowly make steady gains in followers and visibility in the feed. If you're getting people to like your posts, if you're getting people to comment on your posts, share your post into their feed or their stories, whatever it is that you can do to garner engagement, that's how you grow. That's how you gain visibility. So I think that's one of the misconceptions out there. Like people might think that it's super easy. We talked about this before. It's super easy to gain a big following, make tons of impact. That's not actually true. It requires advertising or a whole team of people to get there. So if it's just you in your office, it's slow and steady, wins the day. All right, let's move on. Next question, Jen, this one's for you. What should businesses be doing on social media to engage their audience and actually achieve that slow growth?
Well, that's a great question. Consistency does appeal
Hmm.
to the algorithm.
Yes, it
Um,
does.
and the ways that posts are created are with the in mind the person that is going to see them and what might actually make them like something or laugh at something or love something. So that's huge. Responding to comments is a huge one. Interacting with your audience, whether it's positive or negative comments that they leave, it, that interaction is crucial because it shows the algorithm that there's engagement happening from both sides. And sometimes that will actually generate longer conversations, which again makes your posts go up in engagement level and be noticed more. Some other things, making sure anyone who's commenting on your posts has actually liked your business page. That's a huge
Hmm.
one.
And that's something you can do, right? They have a comment, you can go and you can actually just invite them individually.
Yeah. And now also in the business manager, they'll compile them into a group and be like, oh, you have so many people that haven't liked your page but interacted with it and you want to prove these people. So you can do that as well. But some other things that are kind of the scope that you'll need to lean into, I think, to more personalize your page and to improve that growth is anything that can personalize that relates to tagging businesses in your area. Say you're doing charity events or you're doing a community gathering thing, or you're working with another business on something, anything like that where you can tag someone else or mention them in your posts. That's a huge way to build growth. In fact,
Because
especially
they're
on
because they're
LinkedIn.
incentivized, right? Talk about that. Like, because they're incentivized to respond. It's good for you and it's good for them. You're mentioning them. It's a way that they can be engaged on social media. They can respond. They can mention you in return. It's really a great way. It's not only good for the algorithm to help you, but it's just good for building relationship and networking.
Yeah. Networking is huge. I would say, especially on LinkedIn. I
Hmm.
mean, for sure, you can do it also on Facebook, but for sure on LinkedIn, networking, tagging, building community and following, that's the way it happens. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I kind of covered this a little bit, but maybe Jody can expand. What are some of TaxProMarketer's social media strategy for our clients?
Yeah, so Jen mentioned a lot of that. We are posting daily. We are maintaining that active presence for you to show you're there to you're part of the conversation. People can look in from the outside, get a taste about who you are, what you're talking about, your expertise and all of these things. It's really the foundation. What we're doing for you is providing a foundation. And there's really so much more you can do. And that's a little bit of what we want to talk about. But a lot of what we're doing is geared toward getting engagement. So we post quite a variety of content, different types of content. A lot of times we're asking questions on there. We're inviting people to give a thumbs up, to like it, whatever, to share. But again, because like what I talked about earlier, engagement is what gets the algorithm to notice that you are worth sharing to others. Because if you have a post that's getting engagement, like you've got a bunch of likes, people are answering questions, maybe you put a poll on there, like what do you, whatever the question is, A, B, C, D, or E, that's a really easy one. We do that sometimes. It's a quick response. People are putting their answers in there. That signals to the algorithm, oh, this is an engaging post. We should show it to more people. All right, that's how that works because they are motivated to to provide valuable content for all of their viewers. They don't want to promote a post that is no one's really interested in. So engagement is what signals to them that this is really good content that more people should see. So that is one of our goals. We are also looking to demonstrate on your behalf your authority in the industry, your credibility as a tax or accounting professional, and that you are human. People hire people, right? They trust people to do their taxes. They trust people to manage their business's accounting. And so we are always trying to, in addition to presenting that side of you that is a qualified professional in your field, you're also someone who does things on the weekends. You have a life outside. You talk about other things. And that's another category of what we're trying to do is to not just talk about taxes all the time because no one honestly wants to hear about taxes all the time. That's why they're hiring you. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to talk about it, but they have some questions. So of course we're going to be talking about those kinds of things that they need to know, but we're also talking about broader scope of things in the world of finance. We're talking about retirement, we're talking about insurance, we're talking about estate planning, we're talking about the price of stamps that's going up, I mean, things like that, that people, those are the kinds of things like you'll get engagement on. And so keeping in mind that we're trying to get that engagement for you, that's really a lot of what we're trying to do for you through our social media services. But that has some nuance, right? We're doing different things on different platforms. So Jen, talk us through what the current environment is on Facebook, and we'll get to LinkedIn and some other platforms next. But let's start with Facebook. What is working on Facebook right now?
Well, Facebook and Meta are really about personalization. It's because you have individuals. This is where they live in terms of their interests, their hobbies, the things they like, the things they laugh at, the things that they want to know that are coming up, events, so it's a very personal platform. And so when you're a business, while professionalism is foundational, you do want to be that voice of authority. What you also want to reveal in that sphere is kind of who you are, that you're a human, that you're humans who serve other humans. And so finding ways to relate to people where they're at, showing who you guys are in your office, things like that. One big thing on Facebook is video. And that's still one of the most important engagement kind of posts that are created on Facebook now are videos. Now, that's a very big area where you can level up your social media for your business, is just coming up with some videos. You could script out just like 5 videos and say, I'm going to batch record these and I'm going to then post them like one every other week or one a month, just to get some video presence, because people pay attention to those and they tend to populate in the Facebook reel feed.
Yeah.
So other people will see them. It will broaden your scope.
Right. That's right. Because what happens is that reels get shown to everyone, not just your followers. Like it goes in the reel feed. And if you start getting that engagement, the platform will recognize that this is a good one. Let's promote it, show it to more people. So that is one advantage of posting those videos in the form of reels on Facebook, is that you get access to a wider audience.
Yeah, and you can be talking about the things like that are relevant right now. That's a huge thing on videos. Like I've seen, this is on Instagram, but the reels end up on Facebook as well. I have seen politicians speaking into different like topics that are relevant to their constituents that they serve and clarifying and explaining things that are happening. I think the same thing can go for the tax pro. Like, hey, this big tax bill's happening. Here's how it's going to impact you. And people will pay attention to that stuff because they want to know, or they don't even pay attention in the news, but when they hear you talk about it, they're going to pay attention and it's going to matter to them. I would also say some of the things on Facebook that you can be doing and that are really helpful in the Facebook world are things like showing your team in the office, like letting people see into what's happening in your day-to-day. Even like things that are happening in your world as the owner of the business, as their tax person. Like if you just had a baby, like our CEO, he just had a baby, and we sent out a recent email to our clients where we talked about his baby. We included a picture, and it creates personalization. You see into the person. You can also do posts where you're talking about how you're serving your clients right now, like some specific services you want to highlight. You could tell stories. That's actually a big one, like stories of how you've helped clients. I mean, you can leave out obviously sensitive information, but being able to tell stories is huge. People love stories and they'll listen to them. So Facebook, that's kind of what's going on.
Yeah, that's good. What about LinkedIn? What's working on LinkedIn right now?
Well, LinkedIn is really a B2B space or a business person to business person space. And so a big deal there is establishing credibility. And so a lot of the way you do that is networking and making connections, tagging, mentioning, even sharing posts. So you'll see people like thought leaders in your industry sharing their posts, or even sharing posts from other businesses you've collaborated with, things like that. So that's huge. And then also asking the right questions. People actually are discussion oriented on LinkedIn. They want to talk about their insights on different topics. And so when you ask the right questions that people are talking about right now, man, it's so easy to get engagement there.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's kind of LinkedIn. It's a little more to the point. It doesn't mean you can't show any personality there. You can, but I think it's more specific to the crowd you're serving. Again, in all of these things, we're always thinking about audience. Who are you serving?
Exactly.
Who's seeing your posts on these platforms? Facebook, you're going to see a lot more of people in their informal daily mode. Whereas, on LinkedIn, people are looking at professional things. And so just the mindsets are different there.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for bringing that up. That's true. Different
Yeah.
audiences.
What about the other ones though, Joe? I think you have a little insight on the other platforms, which we don't target at TaxProMarketer for content, but it is something you can still serve in these other platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we actually used to represent our clients on social media on X, which of course used to be called Twitter. We just were seeing diminishing returns there in terms of interaction and engagement. So we discontinued that in favor of LinkedIn, which is where we're at now on Facebook and LinkedIn. But on X, you tend to see a lot of public figures there. So you're going to see politicians, your news people, celebrities, but lots of regular people too. And there's a lot of discussion happening around social topics, political topics, scandals, or just trending, just trending conversations. That's generally tracked via hashtag. So you can go into your hashtag and you can click like Tax Twitter. I don't know if any of you are active there, but Tax Twitter is a hashtag. A lot of conversations happening around taxes in the tax community right there on Twitter. So that's X. Instagram is another big one. We didn't decide this was ideal for our clients. It's because it's very photo and video oriented. But really, to do it well, it needs to be like photos of you and your office and some valuable information that people want to see there. Reels are really, really big on Instagram as well. Now we talked about that on Facebook, but you need to be active doing reels on Instagram. It can be as simple as just doing a selfie video and talking about a tax topic. Not long, no long, no long videos. Short, short, short. You got to get attention right at the beginning. And there's a lot of that you need to pay attention to regarding the algorithm and working that to your advantage. TikTok is one that we all hear about. It's what we started at the beginning. That is its own sort of environment. It is its own culture. Some people just make a living on TikTok alone. They're not on any other social platform, but these are those short attention grabbing videos. They're typically very entertaining or very educational. There's lots of genre out there, but it is definitely one of the newer platforms that I think is worth mentioning. But all of these, they're all different. They all have their different audiences, I think is a big one in terms of demographic that is there. They all have different requirements in terms of what you can post and what you can't post, what number of characters, or you have to have an image, or you have to have a video. So they all have different elements to them, but all of them are engagement driven, which I feel like we can't emphasize enough that you are going to be successful on that platform if you can figure out how to get people to engage in large number. But they all require strategy and attention. So our best advice is to pick one or two. Don't try to do all of them because likely you're not going to be able to maintain that or do any of them well. I'm guessing you don't want to hire a whole team of people to dedicate their time solely to social media, but you can do one or two really well, and you can make it a way to expand your visibility and expand your reach into different people groups or different audiences, different people that could eventually become clients. That's kind of a summary. We wanted to attack just the different platforms to give you an idea of what's working on each platform because they are all different. All right, so next question, Jen. Do people really care about seeing pictures of your kids or your team members' kids on social media? Tell us.
Well, I immediately thought of this episode of The Office where Pam and Jim are trying to get the new manager, D'Angelo, like they're trying to use their kid as leverage to be in with the new boss. And he says, I could tell you this is added to the list of babies that I don't care about. And what's funny about that is it's not actually accurate. People actually love seeing pictures of your kids, of your team members' kids, of your team, like, because we're humans. And ultimately, we care about seeing what's going on in the lives of others. Social media is also about connectivity, and connectivity is driven by those little snapshots, literally, into each other's lives. So it also builds trust. It makes them want to stick with you when they see who you are and what you're doing. Like, you're not just their tax person and you're not out to take all their money during tax season doing all the filing. Like, no, you're just a person who's trying to serve them and serve your team, and it just gets people excited about who you are. It also kind of, when you showcase your team members specifically, it helps people appreciate what your team is doing for them, how your team serves them, their importance, their role in your office. And so it just makes people more invested in continuing their services with you and not choosing your competition.
That's good.
So I have a fun one. Does anyone really care about the golf tournament your company is sponsoring?
I think it's like just there's so many golf tournaments, aren't there? I feel like it's just like if you're going to do a fundraiser, you do a golf tournament, right? So do you post about that? I think yes. And the reason I think why is because local involvement is a big deal. Like people really care about that. That is a strong point for you, a unique point for you as a small business owner is you are local, you are small. So this is one of those ways to really use that to your advantage. Just talk about what you're doing in the community. It shows that you care about what's happening outside of taxes and accounting. You care about your community, shows your humanity outside of work. People really can connect with that and connect with you, which means they're connecting with your office. So yes, post about the golf tournament.
Yeah, and related to LinkedIn, that's where you can tag like the
Right? Yes.
organizations you're sponsoring, and if they get shares, like it's just going to build that momentum for you.
That's a great example. So when you do that post on LinkedIn, you're tagging the person who hosted the tournament. You're tagging maybe the organizations that it's benefiting, some other people on your group, your what do they call it, like a foursome or whatever, your golfing foursome that that were from other companies. Like just think of all the possible people, some neat people you met, just tag them all. It will go much farther. Okay, so what about videos of you and your team, Jen? Should they be posting that?
Yes, absolutely. Do people really want to see videos of you and your team? They do. People like videos. Videos, especially, is just like when you're on a quick scroll through social media, you love to watch videos, even if they're on silent, because now almost all of them include options. When you post them, you can just have that option. But yeah, that is huge, especially we mentioned before on Facebook. Videos are going to be a really good tool for engagement. So like some things you can do videos on, like you can actually host a live video on Facebook. That's a huge way to get people to jump on, because people get excited about live events because they're like, what's happening? What are you talking about? Will I miss knowing what that's about? There's urgency on it. So live recordings are really helpful. And you can do Q&As. Like you can do, hey, let's do a live event where we're doing Q&A on the upcoming boy reporting deadlines at the end of the year. Like if people have questions because they're asking their tax pros, what's happening with this? That's always helpful. You can also record some short videos. Obviously, some things to keep in mind when you record a short video, that you want to have good lighting. You want to make sure you're in a place where there's not a lot of sound. But you can just use your cell phone. You don't need fancy video equipment. That's just a huge, and then maybe put it through a touch up. But even people don't often care about if the video looks perfect. They actually like that raw feel sometimes.
Yeah,
It,
absolutely.
it makes them feel connected to you. And you could do videos on updates through tax season, like say tax season, when it starts and kicks off and you want to give updates about how things are going, or you want to mention like, oh, these are docs that you should make sure you're bringing, or, something funny about like what someone missed in there that was obvious that they should have included in their tax forms or whatever. You could tell stories about how you've helped clients. You can speak into current government situations that will affect your clients, especially, like with the elections. Not necessarily, you don't have to be partisan. You just can talk about how the possibilities of the impact of different officials being elected, and even about the TCJA sunset, like those things that will change based on the candidate, and those do affect your clients. So just talking about that, or even you can do videos talking about your team culture, your workplace values, like letting people see into who you are and the ethics behind what you do. These are all just little ways that you can create engagement and get people excited about your social media page, your business page on Facebook. And videos are workable on LinkedIn as well. There are videos being posted there. I don't think you have to do it as often, but you can still do it there. And there you can target businesses. If you're serving businesses, talk about different things that are relating to those businesses, pain points, and just letting them see who you are. And my last challenge, I would say overall, that is at the end of all this, when we're talking about leveling up your social media, I want to just challenge you. Think of 5 posts that you could create that are personal for the next month, or make a plan like starting January through April. I want to film these videos and then batch record them and then get them prepped and then just schedule them out so that you can have them posted and ready to go. You won't have to worry about it during tax season. This is, I know, your guys' time of year where you're less busy. I think for the most part, you're less busy and you're preparing and gearing up for tax season. And so just thinking about ways to connect with your clients, but also with your broader audience and your prospects online. I think that that's really good to do now. Make a plan now. Find ways to personalize now.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Make 5 posts. How can you do that? How can you take this knowledge and start doing it? Like, and I think, and remember the goals. So engagement, you're always thinking about engagement when you're creating those posts. How can I get people to like this? Ask a question, get them to comment. Authenticity is big. Like Jen was just talking about with the video ideas, you do not have to be super polished. It does not. The days are over when corporate, super professional, super designed stuff does well on social media. It actually doesn't. Actually, it's the more raw, off the cuff type of presentation that does really well because it feels more authentic. Tag, 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 tag. We can't say that enough. That's how you're going to get engagement from other people, other businesses, especially on LinkedIn. Bring that personality. And then lastly, just have realistic expectations for it. Don't expect this to take off overnight. It's not going to. Establish a long-term vision, long-term gain, slow growth, slow and steady growth wins the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say one last thing I would put in there.
Go for it. Jump in.
Assign this to someone on your team. Like, obviously, unless you just love this stuff and you want to do it, but if you know your tendency is not to stay on top of things like this because you're busy doing other things, then figure out a person on your team that can be in charge of planning for those personalized posts, and then also submit yourself to them once they do. So knowing, like, if they have an idea for something, and you have to be willing to also participate in it, and it won't take you that long. It will take you, maybe like you could do a planning session with someone on your team for those 5 posts. Let's say 5 posts next month for November, or 5 posts for December. And you can just make a plan. What are we going to hit on those posts? What events do we have coming up? And you can make a plan and then record what you need to record. And then you'll be done for 2 months. It would take like probably max an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be worth it. Anything that you can do along these guidelines is going to help your page do better in the long run. So we're going to wrap there. Hope this was valuable to you. Bye, everyone.